Hey, here's Kason from Disenthrall.
Hey, how you doing? Disenthrall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what we're doing?
What you got here, Kason?
I have a high-speed camera.
Yeah.
It can shoot 30 times faster than real life-ish. So you can see bullets travel. It's kind of cool.
So you shoot people with that?
I film people with this. You shoot people with guns, but you film people with cameras. You have to make that distinction when working with libertarian-type folk.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they get uppity. And they go, hippity-hoppity, don't shoot me. Get off my property.
He has a plan, she has a plan, and you get to pay for it regardless.
The best way to get someone motivated is to stand for something strongly, deeply, passionately.
Subscribe to Disenthrall. Do as you're told.
I have got one hell of a treat for you today, guys. We are at a range in Arizona, Flagstaff, where we're about to do a full test run with body armor of the Dagny Dagger. Now, for those of you that have been following Disenthrall for, I don't know, probably about a year and a half now, you would have remembered my interview with the creator of the Dagny Dagger. This is going to be an open-sourced, do-it-yourself, do-at-homeable, armor-piercing handgun round. And today we're here to give it a test run on some actual 3A body armor. We've got some locals here from Dallas that are setting up to do a video for announcing to the world his achievements here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
You're all in shadow, no one can see you. Just like we prefer it, anonymity.
When does one possess the right to kill those who are holding them in a state of duress? When someone transgresses against our natural law rights through violence, we always possess the right to defend ourselves with whatever amount of force is required to stop the aggression, up to and including deadly
I'm swinging
force.
the sword of justice at these corrupted souls amongst us. Blood-sucking political puppets in ignorant public. I had enough of the lies, and even they try to justify. I sussed it. They can't tell me otherwise. I'm the dissonant the system hates, who understands the way to infiltrate the minds to manipulate the ship and state.
Barely can't do it. What if it's barely impossible to make a bullet like this and I end up a fraud? And then we hit it, right on. It finally worked. And it's just thrown away. So now, I'm not nervous at all. Hell, if the ATF makes it illegal, it'll still be the most devastating bullet I've ever seen. I mean, there's no reason for people not to carry it.
And much like gun control being dead with the advent of, the ghost gunner and 3D printable firearms, perhaps bullet control is also dead today.
Hey, you know it. In fact, I'll let you on a little secret. It might take us a while to do it, We gotta get through development first, but we are working on an attachment, an add-on to the Ghost Gunner that will allow you to turn the cores of these bullets in the Ghost Gunner. We're also working on SLA 3D printing the jackets. So, yeah, one day, maybe a year from now, Dagny Dagger will entirely be fully DIY-able on a 3D printer and a Ghost Gunner. The Dagny Dagger that you're holding, the entire thing weighs like 100 grains, which is just about the weight of the lightest lead bullet for 9mm you can currently buy on the market. And that's the entire cartridge. When this goes to market, it will be the lightest 9mm cartridge on the market.
Well, let's see you shoot it. Woo! There once was technology called 3A body armor. There was once Windows 3.1.
Sync up the gunshot as well, but go ahead and just get a rough here.
Both are now obsolete.
All right, and action.
Anywhere the Dagny Dagger may be present, level 3A soft body armor is just dead weight.
Damn. Here, I gotta get a B-roll of this.
Good job, Austin.
Kidding me. What you have here is the play hook.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done. History made. As I was saying, just like Windows 3.1, 3A body armor is now a thing of the past. You are looking at me through a hole made in a person that was protected by the formerly important 3A body armor.
It is a religion. It has a superhuman day.
This one is a federal HST.
Okay.
Standard carry hollow point. In fact, Patrick carries them.
Yep.
Came to rest right there, right?
Yep.
The one underneath, that big guy, that's the Dagny Dagger. So not only can it penetrate armor, but it's about 3 to 4 times as devastating as a standard hollow point.
What's causing? So it's not tumbling. What is that then that we're seeing?
So we have the jacket. So like a hollow point, just the nose of it expands.
Okay.
But with this, with the dagger, as it goes through the gel, the jacket, the entire thing is just peeled off and becomes a massive expanded point. But then also, like, the biggest part of it is that's traveling at 2,300 feet per second.
2,300 feet per second on a 9mm round. Can you repeat that? What was it?
2,300 feet per second out of a 4.5-inch 9mm barrel. So because it's going so fast, it does what rifle rounds usually do. Rifle, the hydrostatic pressure, you have this massive temporary wound cavity, right?
Okay.
And then, after the temporary wound cavity is gone, it shrinks back down. But what we're getting here is exactly that, is that it's causing so much hydrostatic displacement as it goes through that it's functioning as a rifle round. So if you shot like 223 through this thing, it would probably look very similar. So we're getting the wounding effects of a rifle cartridge, even though it's a pistol cartridge, because it's moving at rifle velocities.
There you go. I've been telling you guys for a year now that the gun world and gun owners and gun enthusiasts are still thinking that 3D printables is the one-shot liberators that semi-explode in your hand when you use them with too strong of a load. That is no longer anywhere near the case, and if you've been watching my channel or my Anarchast channel, the interviews that we've done with Defense, Deterrence Dispensed, this is serious business, and there's some amazing stuff. Like, just imagine unleashing the creativity and the ingenuity of literally anyone with 3D, CAD software and a FDM 3D printer to now just iterate continually on the technology of the guns that they use. Like, if you want a new grip on your gun, don't go and shop and spend hundreds of dollars for some overpriced piece of, molded plastic. Design exactly what you want. Print it yourself. It's amazing. This is where we're going, guys.
So Will, our intern, we brought on from the 3D printing gun community. He's great at 3D printing. So he's been working on new printing techniques to develop this prototype. Something I've been working on for maybe a year, and it's finally in a really good place.
What are we looking at?
This is what we call the ammo hose, specifically called the Haley hose, named after the composer in Atlas Shrugged.
Okay.
As we name everything. This end plugs into a standard mag-fed firearm.
Oh my god!
Gotta clear this table off. This end of it, it also plugs into this end, right? We've got a hand crank there for now. So right now I can't show it functioning. Maybe later we can see that. No, it's okay. Just I gotta have Will for it. So this is just a hand crank, but you can imagine if this hand crank were replaced with a spring that was kept wound by a motor. This would have a hopper on top of it full of ammunition, and it would automatically wind it through the hose up into the firearm. So essentially what we have here, so you can imagine that like anywhere, right? That could be on the ground and a gun mounted on a turret. This whole thing could be, come behind your back, right?
Yep.
And you could use like a backpack or whatever. But you could feed, 500, 1,000 rounds in there. And essentially what it does is it converts any standard mag-fed firearm into a belt-fed.
Yes. Yes.
So, and not only that, not only does it allow us peons that can't afford a belt-fed machine gun to have that capability, but it's even superior. Number one, it's simpler because it takes that specialized firearm with a very complex delinking mechanism that weighs an awful lot. Having the ammo like right there on the gun, it weighs an awful lot. But if you think about it, you could do this for an AR-9, AR-15. Where it takes all the complexity and the weight and the cost off of the gun, and it puts it somewhere else more ergonomic, like your back or whatever. So you're not having to lug around, like an 18-pound machine gun. You've got your 7-pound AR-15, with all of the weight on your back.
Okay, can we know who you are?
Sure. So I'm Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Can you tell us what you're about to do?
Yeah, so this is the armor that we just shot.
Okay.
Here, I'll move this out of the way. And while the core is what went straight through, the jacket is still embedded in the armor, which is what it's designed to do.
Okay, this is the black part?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I'm just going to carefully cut the top layer of the armor. There we go. And that is what used to be a jacket around our core.
The little black plastic. Is it plastic? What is it?
Yes,
Okay.
it is plastic. It's polycarbonate specifically.
Yeah?
Yes. And so that's how much
And
it mushrooms.
It's mushroomed out. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you have an armory.
We have an armory.
Can we see the armory?
You can see the armory. Come on.
All right, let's do it.
Some people call it a bedroom. The realtor calls it a bedroom, but I call it an armory.
All right.
All right. So
I'm now renaming my bedroom to the armory as well.
taking the glory. Starting
right.
over here, we've got we've got some basic tools, bookshelf, a lot of unfinished lowers right here, printed and milled.
Okay.
A lot of my ballistics texts. Moving on to right here, this is a universal receiver. We've made a video that we've got on YouTube. Kind of.
This was the
highlighting
thing
that.
when I interviewed you a year and a half ago. This was the big goal that you were trying to get funding for.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. See, these things cost. If you buy them new, they'll be $10,000 to $12,000. And then you've got an extremely expensive sensor on here and some other stuff. So, we're happy to have that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Continuing on, let's see. Up here we've got, this is for our setup, our little jig for assembling the dagger, the core, and the jacket together.
Okay.
Over here, this is our lathe.
This might be a good time to put the round like right here, and then tell us, for the people that don't know, what are the parts, what are the components of
Okay,
this?
so to start out, this is an NAS3 case. If you reload and you're not using these, you better start. I could go on. They're cheaper than regular brass. They're lighter than regular brass. They hold much more pressure, infinitely reloadable.
Yeah.
It's great. And then the case head, it's two pieces. The case head is separate and can be anodized. So hopefully you'll see in the commercial version of the dagger, that comes with an anodized black case head.
Okay.
Moving on up, this is the Dagny Dagger bullet itself. It consists of a metal core inside a jacket. The jacket and the core is what's pressed together right here.
Okay.
the construction of it, we call it armor penetrating hollow point, APHP. And you can see how the core penetrates. That is what actually goes to the armor. The jacket is stopped when you shoot armor, and just the core that passes on through.
So the jacket is just to help it go down the barrel of the gun?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, essentially. But then also, because there is a hollow point in the jacket, that's what causes the massive expansion that we will see in the ballistics gel test.
Okay, which we're going to do later.
We will do it later.
All right, awesome.
So in particular, a lot of people get a kick out of it. You know, this is the penetrating core. Inside there, we call this like void. We call it the moat because it gets filled with adhesive when we assemble it.
Okay.
And the rim around here that comprises that hollow point in the jacket, we call that the foreskin. So
Now, the magic is the metal that you're using for the core.
yeah,
correct?
That's right.
Can you talk about that? I mean,
I can talk a little bit about it. Unfortunately, for legal strategy, we just kind of have to keep it a little bit hush because, you know, the feds will react to this. Even state governments will react to it. And so we have to be selective about when we disclose stuff. So, you know, at the end of development, when we open source everything, everybody will know about it, but we got to be a little hush now. I can say that it is an alloy. It's not just an element. It is an alloy. And AR-500 steel has a strength of about 200, if I believe it's just 260,000 PSI. The alloy that we'll be using has a strength of 300,000 PSI.
and that's the thing that makes it good at penetration?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So, and we're not even using that stuff yet. We're using kind of a lower, dumbed down metal. But you'll find as we keep working on this, as we keep optimizing it, we'll start to use that alloy, and that will help a lot in penetrating like stiff armors, like the ultra high molecular weight polyethylene stuff that you see, and as well as like even some steel armor should go through, because again, it is just as hard and it is stronger than steel armor.
All right. Okay. So we'll get you on Anarchast maybe next, and we'll get more into the philosophy. So today, let's just nerd out on the materials and the process and all that stuff.
Sure.
Okay. So you use this to press the core into the what was it called? The foreskin.
Jacket. The foreskin is just, you know, like the bit of basically the hollow point part of the jacket.
All right, and you have the scale here just for engineering?
Yeah, exactly. You won't need that when you make this at home, when you DIY this, when we release it. You probably won't need that scale, but just for engineering, to do our due diligence and R&D, we keep track of how hard we press down on that when we bond the two together.
Now, is this alloy that you're talking about using in the future, is this something that anybody's going to be able to get, or is this something that's rare and...
So there are a number of ways to make the dagger. You could use different alloys. You could use what we're using now, which is plentifully available commercially. You can just call up McMaster Car and order some of it, actually. But if you want to make the best legal design, the way that it will be when we produce it commercially, that's a little harder. Now you could get it shipped from China. You can get a quote and order it domestically, but we will probably sell the raw material on our website just to make it easier for people to buy, to make it DIY if they want.
Okay. All right, cool. And I assume it'll be something that the government's not going to want to regulate possession of a hunk of a specific metal alloy.
It'd be pretty weird. It wouldn't be in their MO, essentially, to do it. But I should say also, look, I got to advise you, it is illegal, but you can even use steel for this. If you wanted to do it illegally, you could. Or, you could just pay the king's ransom of $3,000 a year or whatever for the special privilege. But you can make it with steel. That's wonderfully available. If you wanted to throw legality out the window, there's 1,000 different ways to make it cheaper than the commercial version would be and better than what we're using now.
Okay, so what's next after you... put the foreskin on? What happens?
We should take it over to the reloading press.
Oh, okay.
So
that's done then. So that's pretty much it. Now we're just into normal reloading.
Yeah. So
okay.
Just like this is our seating die, okay. Just like normal, just like you would. In fact, I think a single stage press might be better for this, but
Now
I've outfitted it.
you said something really interesting. You were telling me that it's much higher velocity. What's the mechanism for getting higher velocity on the round?
Okay, so man, there are a few things involved in this. So first of all, it's a very lightweight bullet. It's we're aiming for 50 grains. The ones that we're using today are, I think, 48.5 grains. But a typical 9mm bullet, is 115, 124, 147 grains. So using such a lightweight bullet, we can go much, much faster. In fact, if I'm going to geek out and get a little bit technical here, that's the way that the weapon's been going. The last 120 years or whatever in firearms have always gone that way. We've gone from like 65 caliber muzzle loaders to now the battle rifle cartridge is of course 5.56 is 22 caliber, and that's the way it's going. Small and fast is better than fat and slow. That's just the way it is. That's what I have to say as an engineer. That's my professional opinion. We see that historical trend. Lighter, faster cartridges. They're better at penetrating. They are flatter shooting. The trajectory is flatter. They offer less recoil, and you have to carry less weight. So it's just altogether superior. And I should say at this point, with this bullet being 48.5 grains, in this NAS3 case, it is the lightest weight bullet that will be on the market when we make it there.
Aha.
It is lighter than anything else that is currently on the market.
So currently, to make the core, can you show us this machine?
Yeah, well, but before I get there,
okay. Go ahead.
Still, but being lightweight is not enough. In fact,
okay.
Those in the know that Liberty Civil Defense is also a 50 grain bullet. But the firearms industry is really, really broken. It is very, very bad. It doesn't deserve to exist. Long story short, Liberty, like most people, never ever bothered to optimize their loading. So, they should have shaped their bullet differently. They should have made their bullet like very slightly different dimensions. They should have loaded their bullet at a different length out of the case. And they should have experimented with the powder load that they were using, but they didn't. They essentially called up Hodgdon, who makes powder, said, "What do you think we should use for this?" Hodgdon told them the same thing that they told me for a 50 grain bullet, and that's what they used. And that's not good enough. So at the same pressure that civil defense is, we are 250 feet per second higher velocity than they are. So we cared. That's a big part of it. You got to care. And we did. And then the last part of it is this is a plus P plus bullet. Standard pressure for 9mm is 35,000 feet per second. Plus P is 38.
You said feet per second. Did you mean PSI?
PSI.
Just making sure.
Thank
Okay.
you. Plus P is 38,500 PSI. And the bullet that we're using is like 42,000 PSI. So a lot of people in the market, civil defense, again, in their sloppy work, they market their bullet as being plus P. That's not the case. They're at 45,000 feet per second. Crazy overpressure.
PSI.
PSI.
Sorry.
All these acronyms.
Yep.
But yeah, so they're way hotter than we are in the pressure, but we're still faster again because we actually care to optimize. So
okay.
There you go.
So those two things together, optimized load plus really light round,
and it being plus P plus,
gets you the insane velocity.
Yes, and then that's a safe pressure. That's not unsafe. Essentially any gun barrel you're going to get today, anything made in the last 30 years, is made to a spec with a 50,000 proof load, a 50,000 PSI proof load. So yeah, this isn't. We don't recommend to shoot this, thousands of rounds at the range like you would for target practice, but you probably won't. you're crazy if you're spending your money doing that in the first place. If you spend 500 rounds of this, it should be just fine on your gun.
Interesting. Weird tangent, because I was just talking to Deterrence Dispensed, and they have the FGC-9 with its pipe-based barrel that was etched in the bucket. You're familiar with that whole process?
Yeah.
Would that be able to handle this?
It could handle it. It could handle it just fine. I know those guys are chomping at the bit to shoot this stuff.
Me too. I really, really hope I get an opportunity to do that today.
Something I should say, though, kind of a shout-out to Jay Stark and Ivan, who did so much work with that, especially Ivan doing the, bringing Jeff Rudd's concept of ECM barrels into practical reality. With that ECM process, the steel used for gun barrels is actually quite weak. In the 21st century, we have much, much better options for steel to make gun barrels with. And people I think they don't know about that. But with ECM, they could, use some maraging steel, some other really high grade steel that's twice as strong, and there'd be no difference ECMing a barrel out of that than out of standard gun barrel steel.
And the ECM would still work on the harder steel or whatever?
Yeah,
okay.
because it's not cutting, it's essentially controlled corrosion.
Okay.
You're corroding the shape into the barrel. So yeah, I mean, the higher grade steels, they corrode the same, so there's really no difference. Doing that, you can even overpressure this thing even more. So you can take our 40,000, make it 60,000 psi if you wanted to. All of a sudden, this thing in the carbine barrel of the FGC-9, it's insane velocities, right? So
I literally cannot wait.
Yeah. I mean, it opens up. We have, I guess, like a big message of our project. Altus Arms is kind of the DARPA, you might think of it, of, personal arms. We do kind of, I would say we do kind of the more, kind of the longer-sighted projects that take a long time, take a lot of resources. Not really so exciting, but what I have to say about it is generally people think like, we've got to protect the AR-15. We've got to make sure the AR-15s are still available for us even when the regulatory scheme makes them otherwise very unavailable. But I'm saying we can do more. Just like I said with the FGC-9, just like developing the Dagger DIY, we can do DIY stuff that's much better than what's already available to us commercially through legal channels.
And that should be the headline for all the people that still think do-it-yourself firearms and 3D printables are Stone Age plastic toys.
Yeah, exactly.
This is prime time stuff. Okay, so can we move on here?
Yeah. So then, even before you assemble it, like we talked about the core and the jacket there. This is our lathe, and this is what we use to turn the cores in the jackets. So it's CNC. For everybody who knows what a lathe is, this might look like a kind of a weird one, but essentially the stock spins in the spindle right here. But for both the core and the jacket, and you have these machines that come in. This thing slides around with these tools that make the various cuts in it to cut it down to shape. And it's pretty simple. I think later on, Kelby and Kason will be capturing a video of that in motion.
Awesome. And so this is not what the end user in the future will use. This is just what you're using to make the initial.
No, they don't have to. This is several $1,000s, but they don't need to use that. You could go down to Harbor Freight and you could get yourself a low quality, really budget mini lathe for, I think they're going for $600 now. If you really wanted to put in the work, you could use a drill press to make some of these parts, at least the core. You could use a drill press and some like files or whatever. Do it as Jeff Rod would call it, the third world armory approach. But we are also working right now, slowly, it's kind of a lower priority. We're working on an add-on to the Ghost Gunner that would allow the Ghost Gunner to function as a lathe. And in that capacity, you could just put in the stock, the same rod stock that we use in here for the core and the jacket. Put that in the Ghost Gunner, and the Ghost Gunner will make cores and jackets for you.
I feel like that should have gone off to fanfare and fireworks, what you just said. You'll be able to turn your Ghost Gunner into a lathe, and then mill these things yourself.
Yeah, not just the Dagny Dagger, right? I mean, it's a separate project, kind of, but tangentially, if you can do the core and the jacket of the Dagny Dagger, you can turn yourself, solid copper or brass bullets. Or again, if you want to do it illegally, you can turn steel bullets if you want to do it. It's completely open to you. You can do anything with this. Any bullet that's smaller than 3/8 of an inch. That's 308. That's like 30-06. That's 9mm. 22 calibers like 5.56. All that you'd be able to do in the Ghost Gun.
What about the sleeves? How do you make those? Same thing?
Oh yeah, like the jacket.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so the jacket, it'd be a little more complicated to do in the Ghost Gunner, but we still hope to make it compatible with the Ghost Gunner. So that should be an option for you. However, even better, even more easily, if you have an SLA printer, even a budget one that costs, I don't know, $300. The One How 7 Plus, I think is what's called duplicate or something like that, is what we're looking at, what we're working on. It looks very promising.
And for those that don't know, what's an SLA printer?
Oh yes, okay. So like there's this our printer over here, which you see that's a Prusa 3.
That's an FDM printer. Right?
That is an FDM printer. So that just kind of extrudes out plastic in the shape that you're looking for. It'll just spit out the plastic there. An SLA printer, you've got like a vat of liquid resin, kind of like an epoxy, that's photosensitive. So then you've got a UV laser hologram that just scans over it, and as it does that, it solidifies that resin with the laser.
And this sounds really Star Trek, but this is a prime time, this is a mass production thing that has been common in 3D printing for years now. This is not some new, weird thing.
I mean, it's as old as the 1980s, and of course it's better now. But so we've been working on that, and some budget SLA printers costing about $300. It looks very promising that you'll be able to make the jacket with that printer. You can't print the core because the core is metal. Just wouldn't really work out. You do that on the Ghost Gunner, do the jacket on an SLA printer, and that's all you got. So even as advanced as this is, the tight tolerances that this takes, you will still be able to do it at home, DIY with relatively budget tools. I mean, the Ghost Gunner is expensive, but you could dispense with that and do it on a drill press if you wanted.
And we'll get more to this in the Anarchast interview later. But you've come a long way in a year and a half. What's it like? Today we were on the range, and you guys are going to see the video. We put 2 big ass holes in some clay that was supposedly protected by some 3A armor. How does that feel, man? How is it?
I mean, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I've been manic this entire day. I mean, as an engineer, because today, we penetrated armor before, but as everybody knows, right now, armor is in such high demand, they've got 3 months lead time. So we had one shot at this today.
We literally had one shot.
And we had not shot armor that is this high quality, this advanced before. And every time that happens, I just get ecstatic. And I mean, to be honest, to tell you guys, we've been working on this day and night really hard. I have to force myself to take weekends with this thing. I mean, I work on it so much harder than just a 40-hour-a-week job. And it took us a long time. Nobody's done anything like this, and we'll talk about it more in Anarchast, like you said, but honestly, 2 months ago, I was worried. I was starting to get worried, nervous, that this wasn't going to be possible, that it's just not possible to make an armor-piercing bullet, or I should say armor-penetrating bullet like this. And in the last 2 months, we've gone from that all the way up to here. We just penetrated the highest form, the highest brand of 3A soft armor. So,
ta-da!
What else is there? Woo! I'm manic. I'm happy.
You did it.
This for an engineer, this is as good as it gets.
Well, congratulations, sir. I'm super excited to have witnessed it today, and we're going to head out to the range here in a little bit and take some shots at some fresh, brand new virgin gel and see how it does.
You'll be impressed. You'll be impressed. At this point, I'm almost more impressed in that than I am what it does against armor.
There are reasons other than armor penetration, like we're about to see. All right, well, we'll see you in a second.
Kelby,
what are we about to do?
Well, Kelby and Kason are setting up for the ballistics gel shot. Well, first we're going to fire that, which is a standard, well, you could say standard, a very reliable top shelf hollow point Federal HST.
My preferred round, yes.
There you go. It might not be after this, because then we're going to shoot the dagger into the gel to compare the wound channels.
So we're going to go shoot 2 rounds in back to back into some gel.
That's right.
And we're going to compare. Okay, let's do it.
Bang.
Let's do it.
Dagger. Federal HST.
You could see.
Also superior for unarmored targets.
Whoa!
Look at this! All right, so the low one is the Hydroshock.
Sorry guys, I was a little low on that.
The top one is the dagger, and it looks like it came all the way out?
Yep, the dagger does come all the way out. The core does.
The core came all the way out?
30 seconds. I
Yeah.
saw it on the camera. It's fucking great.
Sweet. Yeah, so.
Look at the wound channel.
That? You like that?
The wound channel is only about, what, 15 times wider?
Yeah. You were pretty.
You can barely see the Federal Hydroshock down there.
High speed if anybody wants to see it while it renders.
There we go. Look at that.
Pick me.
So even if you're not trying to pierce armor, what you're looking at is a better performing round.
Yeah. Was that not insane though?
Oh, you can see a shockwave emanate from it. Send this shit to Smarter every day.
Yeah. Get their slow-mo cameras.
Look, it's
That
turbulent
is
and laminar
such
flow.
a cool
Wow.
shot, Kason.
Something, laminar flow.
I think laminar flow.
Laminar flow, it's so cool. Laminar flow is the best.
Getting stronger every day. Keep on pushing through the pain. Keep on grinding till we die. Ain't no mercy in the
Austin, come here, man. Come here. I am so freaking excited and honored to be here for today, to see the things that I've seen happen today. And my birthday was literally yesterday.
Oh, was it?
And so this is like, I'm just considering what I'm about to get to do, a huge birthday present, and god damn, I'm excited. So I am honored to be able to shoot one of the very first Dagny Dagger rounds. And let's do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here, and we appreciate you sharing in our overwhelming pride.
You should be. You should be so proud. Wow. Awesome. All right, let's do this.
I think you're the first person other than Austin to shoot a dagger.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my god.
You are.
High speed ready.
Now I'm gonna miss everything.
How do you feel, Patrick? How you feeling, Patrick?
Can I show the camera?
No, you can tell us how you feel. How you
He
feeling?
feels great.
I feel fantastic.
That's it. No more questions.
And
We're no
I'm-
longer being a tank. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, you fucking punks.
How do you feel about